Wow. Oh, this is awesome. Get it out, get it out. I love it. Wow, yes. I gotta tell you, I am so happy about you people. Because I've been in front of you twice in 24 hours, and the last audience I had to do that with was ugly. And you guys aren't. It is so good to be here. Thank you all. You know, today I want to talk to you about something that I want to say is special to me. Today I want to ask you this question. What scares you? I want to know what people are scared of, because fear is the greatest thing to hold us back. Yeah, snakes, they work. Do you know what most people are scared of? Right up front, I got to tell you, most people are scared to death of clowns. Yeah, you know what's really freaky? That's me. That is me. That is me in the early 90s working Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. Yes, I really was a clown. That just feels like a cleansing of the soul. You know, but clowns scared people. And it was fun because I got to watch people panic when they saw me. They didn't know how to handle it. They were disturbed. But you know what scared me at the time? Heights. I was scared to death of heights. I worked for a company when I was in school. It was an engineering company, and I was a building inspector. My job was to check soil to make sure the building wasn't going to sink into the ground. So every time I drive past the buildings I inspected and I see they're the same height, I know I did a good job. But I called the boss one summer and I said, I need a job. Can you bring me back? And he said to me, we have a problem. And I said, what's that? He said, you're scared of heights. And I said, yeah, I am. I don't go any more than 4 feet off the ground. I don't like ladders. I don't like height. And Don said to me, the only job we have is walking steel. And I looked at the phone and I thought to myself, you know what scares me more than heights? Poverty. I took the job. I worked 38 stories into the air. And I gotta tell you, that picture's me standing in front of Philadelphia City Hall in the background. And yes, I was younger and thinner back then. But you know what's cool about that? Is what I actually did for a living. And I have to tell you, you want to talk about fear? I was the stupidest person you'll ever meet. Because I was a building inspector. My job was to go out on the beam and check the bolts to make sure the beam was going to stay there after I walked on it. Wow! Every day I thought to myself, yeah, this is it, Mom. And my mother used to tell people I did something else for a living. And then I had another job that same summer, which there's no picture of. But after I finished on steel, I would go home and change. And this is the thing that I love saying because it's the freakiest thing I've ever done. I was a cosmetician. I sold makeup. I worked in a department store, and then I learned real fear. I was afraid the iron workers would come in and sell me selling lipstick. But you know what all that fear meant to me? All that fear for me was what keeps me going. I've never done anything I was comfortable with. Because you know why? When you do something you're comfortable with, you don't ever move. You don't ever do anything. You just stay comfortable. Fear scares people. But fear is the greatest challenger that you'll ever know. Oh, random advice. Yeah. Please, if there's a fire, leave before you tweet about it. You know, when I started as a trial lawyer, and I think about last night, I was listening to everybody talk about what you guys do and talk about approaching people and keeping things moving. And then I thought to myself, you know, as a trial lawyer, it's the same fear. But see, as a trial lawyer, when I had to talk to people, I had to sit down and chat with them and convince them that what I was trying to tell them was the best thing. I had to convince them that what I was saying was the best thing for the Constitution, for their sensibilities, the fact that they had to sleep with their verdict and know that they did a good thing. And when I lost, I had to look at my client and say, you're going to jail for a very long time. And when I was a prosecutor, I had to face the public knowing that if I lost, a criminal was back on the streets. You don't have that pressure. How cool is that? You can move past that, but here's what happened. The first jury trial I ever went in, the defense lawyer, man, he kicked my butt. Very first trial, guy kicked my butt. In fact, the joke is I used to lie and say I won my first trial until Paul walked up to me one day and said, how come your memory is different than mine? And I looked at him and said, it's in the past, stupid. What happened in the past doesn't matter. Well, I lost another trial after that. And then I lost another trial. And then all of a sudden, one day, I won a trial. And I went on a winning streak. And somebody came up to me and said, do you ever lose? And you know what my answer was? No, I never lose, as long as you don't look back. Because every day was a new day. Every day I started over saying, this is going to be the day. And then I had a period of about 11 years where I never lost. And all of a sudden, I heard a jury stand up. And I was a prosecutor. And the jury stood up and said, not guilty. I didn't know what to do. I forgot how bad it was to lose. And I took a deep breath. I went back to my office. And I could have sat in a chair and licked my wounds. But you know what I did? I walked around the office and I walked up to someone and I said, what are you doing today? And Janelle looked at me and said, I'm trying a DUI. I said, can I have it? And she said, why? I said, I need back on the horse as soon as possible. Because if I don't get back on the horse, I'm never getting on it again. So that's how you overcome fear. You keep moving forward. You follow the rules. You follow the process. You do it again and again. And then you have to keep doing it. And the more you do what you have to do, eventually success comes. So let's talk for a moment, because I want to address some fears. First of all, fear of other people is a major fear. And what I mean by that is, other people, they're the ones that can make you feel inadequate. They're the ones that can reject you. They're the ones that might judge you. You know, I laugh because I talk about that feeling of rejection or inadequacy. And last night, I heard people talking. And, you know, I've been out there. I was in this a long time ago. And I know the talk on the streets. People are going to look at you and say, I'm not interested. It's a pyramid. You know what's interesting, though? They don't understand anything. You know why? Here I am. I'm a speaker. This is what I do. But you know what I did to deal with other people? I built my own pyramid. Here I am at the very bottom of a pyramid, and I have hired coaches, mentors, and advisors. And I put powerful people on top of me. And I'm the low man on my own totem pole. But you know what's happening? Every time I walk on a stage, every time I speak to an audience, I pass one of my coaches. I passed one of my mentors. In fact, I hired a coach, somebody to help me write my book. Why do I need someone to help me write my book? I already said yesterday, I watch too much YouTube. I needed someone to yell at me. The woman said to me, well, what do you need a coach for? I said, well, you're a coach. Why are you asking me that question? I said, I'm going to pay you money. And she said, yeah, but what do you want a coach for? And I said, well, here's the thing. I'm Italian. You're Italian. I'm scared of Italian women. She looked at me and said, what does that mean? I said, I just hire you to yell at me. I said, if I don't write for a week, I need you to yell at me so I curl up in a ball and die. And by the way, the funny story is, she lived in Denver. I was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And all of a sudden, one day she moved to Connecticut. And I don't know, she started yelling at me. I yelled back on the phone. I said some things to her that were pretty nasty. And then I called my wife and said, what are we doing tomorrow? And she said, nothing. I said, yeah, we're driving to Connecticut because I need to apologize to someone. And I drove all the way to Connecticut to apologize to my coach. And she looked at me, gave me a hug, and said, I don't believe you drove all the way here, because I didn't take it personal. I said, yeah, I know, I did. But see, the value of it was I knew that I needed that person that was above me, that person that had been there, that person that knew. What else are we scared of? We're scared of fate. We're scared of you, I'm sorry. I went backwards on that. Scared of yourself. FOMO. I didn't even know that was a phrase until the other day. Everybody heard the word FOMO? Fear of missing out. I didn't even know that was something until someone said it to me. And I felt like I was missing out because I didn't know. We're scared of change. We're scared of not having control. I have one simple question for you. Well, who cares? Who cares? Give up control sometimes. Let someone else have a little control. So what? Missing out? You're not going to do that if you do your job. If you do what it is you're supposed to do. If you're following it, checking in, meeting your goals, achieving, you're not going to miss out on anything. Because you're going to progress. You're going to grow. We're scared of fate. Well, fate, let's call it the future. What are we scared of? Uncertainty, failure. We're scared of getting hurt. We're scared of bad things happening to us. Have you ever noticed that no matter what you do, something bad's going to happen? It is. You can't avoid it. So you can sit in a chair and whine. You can say, yeah, nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody wants to meet with me. Nobody is a good prospect. Everybody sucks. And you can sit in that chair. Or you can get up and feel the joy of rejection. The power of someone saying no. I love when people say no to me. You know why? By the way, people always look at me and say, oh, you're a speaker. It's awesome. You're on stage. You do this. You know what no one sees? No one sees the 5 hours a day that I sit on the telephone calling associations around the country and having them say no. I actually had a checklist. I felt like a prisoner sitting in his jail cell. I was putting hash marks on the wall for every no that I got. And then when I got the one yes, I cracked open a whole new bottle of tequila, did a shot, and said, "Celebrate!" It was 6 a.m. That day didn't end well at all. But you know, what I really want to tell you is a big, big secret. And this is the best thing you're going to know, okay? Take a look around the room. Find the people that you look up to. Find your uplines. Look at George. Look at people. Let me tell you. You ready? They're scared of things too. They've been rejected. They have felt the pain of failure. Do you know what that means? That means they can take their hand and guide you through it. Because they know what it's like. You reach out. You reach out to the person that knows what that pain is like. See, because successful people, they know how to get over it. They know how to say, "I got another no, so what? I'm going to eat an eclair." All right, well, maybe that's me. They know because they have been there. You have a resource, you need to use it. They are your mentors. They are the people that will guide you. Take advantage of it. And figure out where you want to go. Determine in your heart where you're heading, and then create a set of rules and follow the rules that you will live by. Follow the rules that will get you to where you want to be each and every day. Now, there is an intersection in life, and for me, it's happened several times. That intersection is the intersection of accidental and intentional. See, I don't believe there's anything that's really accidental. I believe that if we work hard and prepare, the intentional will override each and every time. So always be prepared, and then when the accident happens, just look cool and say, "Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I knew I was going to be rejected. I knew something was going to go wrong." And just like me saying I won my trials, don't look back. You know what my biggest fear is in life? And I'll admit to it right here and now, because I'll tell you what it is. And I think it should be everybody's greatest fear. Being stuck in a hamster wheel. There you go. How'd you like to wake up every morning and feel like that? Do you know I am scared to death of that my entire life? I don't ever want to be the one caught in that mess. Yeah, he fell out. Didn't see that coming. He's a hamster. You know, here's the thing. Accidental versus intentional. Well, as you know, I wrote the book Getting to Us, and we talked a lot about that last night. That was the one I wrote with a coach over the past couple years, and about 10 years before that, I wrote a book that was called Performance on Trial. And it was geared to performers and entertainers on how to be more powerful and better on stage. Well, I wrote that book 10 years ago, only I limited it. I did 500 copies to the limited industry, said I'm done. In fact, here's the funny story, and I have to interrupt myself to say this. The exclusive distributor of the book, Performance on Trial, okay, and this is like so cool. The exclusive distributor of that book for all 500 copies was Stevens Magic Emporium on East Douglas in Wichita. Yep. I called Mark Stevens, who was a friend of mine, and I said, "You want my book?" And here's the funny story. Sold all my books, and when I got here on Thursday, it was the first time I ever walked into his magic shop and said hello. I know him for years, I've seen him, but it was so cool to get here and see him. But I wrote that book just because somebody said, "Will you talk about how to be a better presenter?" Well, I wrote it. It's supposed to be a 1-hour talk. 20-page little pamphlet turned into a 170-page book. It was an accident. But I wanted to stay out of the wheel. That's all I really wanted. Well, throughout that time, I was a lawyer doing criminal trials, and I was a professional magician and mentalist. That's what I did. Wow, left brain, right brain, someone's going to crash and get hurt. So throughout that process, I wrote rules to live by. I wrote rules that kept me more creative, kept my time managed better, kept me moving in the right direction, and kept me from falling on my face. And I lived by those rules. Well, here's what happened after Getting Dust came out. I met with my publishing advisor, and he asked me, how did you juggle being a lawyer and an entertainer, all serious and dealing with nasty stuff during the day, and then going out and having fun at night? And I said, I wrote rules. Showed him the notepad, carried it with me for 20 years. And he looked at me and said, what's that? And I said, it's the notes. It says, stay out of the wheel. And he looked at me and said, do you know that's a book? Well, don't be a hamster. Don't Be a Hamster was published in January, complete with cartoons for those people that don't like to read, you know? And somebody said to me, oh my God, it looks like a kid's book. Yeah, because it's a kid in me that needed to be controlled. I wasn't going to read a fancy schmancy book. I had to read something a kid could read for my little brain to say, make it work. And that's what my rules were. I even tell a confession in that book, which is, yeah, my daughter's hamster died and I replaced it. I told her when she was 21. She's 23, we have trust issues. You know, but here's the thing, every hamster in the book has a message. And I want to give you some examples because there's super hamster, there's Zen hamster. Yep, there's no hamster. Yep, no hamster's important. There's a dream hamster. There's success hamster. And there's good old rock hamster. This is my little box that I have that I make that has my hamsters on it. And here's what I want to do. See if this works. It's something pretty cool if it does. Oh, come on, get in here. Yeah, make noise on the microphone. Make the sound guy's head pop because his headset going, oh! Let's hear a round of applause for the sound, camera, and tech guys. They're awesome, aren't they all? Our backstage people are rocking. I'm going to throw you. Ready? Good. Here's what I want you to do. Take a look at that. Now, shush over a little behind his chair so I can't see that box. Hide it behind him. No, hide it behind this guy right here. This guy right here. No. This guy in front of you, I want you to take that and hide it up behind his back. But put one hamster on top. One hamster on top that you like. Now, is this one you like? Yes? Yeah. Okay. You like this hamster, and I don't want to look at you because I don't want to glimpse what you're doing. This hamster you like, and the reason you like this hamster is because this is something you have a problem with. This is something you feel like stresses you out. Am I correct? Yeah. Here's the problem. You don't have to say yes to everything. You have to learn to say no once in a while. Because when you learn to say no, you make more time for yourself. You are looking at no hamster, aren't you? Yes, sir. Yes, you are, sir. Do me a favor, pass it back over that way. Thank you. See, I told you some things I do are just purely impossible. Get over it. All right. Man, do me a favor if you would. Take that chair, because I want you to hold that. Move that chair in front of yourself so you can hide the box behind the chair. This is just so much fun to do. Pick a hamster that means something to you and bring it up to the top. Did you do that? Wow. So what you're telling me is you feel like you're moving too fast. You live a life where you're not slowing down enough. And you need relaxation time. You need meditation time. You're looking at Zen hamster, am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Here, pass that back up. You can throw it, it's light, it won't hurt me. I can actually catch. Wow, I never catch that. How cool is that? Yeah, so that's, all these hamsters mean something. They all have a message you want to learn to live by. And by the way, it was the most fun I ever had putting a book together. And I'll also share with you one other quick tidbit, which is when I wrote the book, I said to my advisor, I need an artist. I need someone that can draw cartoons. And Jason said to me, I'm going to send you 5 portfolios. He said, but I'm not going to tell you anything about the artist. I don't want you to know who they are. I don't want you to know anything about them. I want you to pick an artist purely on one that speaks to you. So he sent me the guy's portfolio. Well, he sent me 5 portfolios. And I saw this one guy and I went, oh my God. I didn't know it was a guy at the time, but I went, that is the artist, man. That guy can draw a dog like that. He can draw a kangaroo like that. He can do my hamster. And I got so excited, I called Jason and said, artist number 4. And Jason said, yeah, that's who I knew you'd pick. And I said, why? He said, the same reason I didn't want to tell you anything about them. I said, why is that? He said, the first 2 are from New York. Second one was from Los Angeles. The last one's from Miami. I said, all right, the guy I picked, where's he from? He said, 2 blocks from your office. And I actually responded with, okay, so there's diamonds in my backyard. And the funny part is the artist and I have now become friends. But it turned out that the person I needed was right there all along, literally 2 blocks from me. I had no idea. And I love telling that because it's, oh yeah, by the way, seriously, we really need to start worrying about what kind of world we're leaving for Keith Richards, man. I gotta tell you, I think about it. And for those that have to know, I took that picture, I ran it through FaceApp, and it came out the same way. He came out just as old and ugly. It's awesome. God, yeah, we gotta worry about that stuff. All the fear we talk about and all the things we want to grow to and following the rules and being who we are, what it all comes down with is dealing with people. Dealing with people. So as we deal with people, let me ask you, do you know what message you are sending? What do people think when they look at you? Well, let's talk about what people look like. Here's 3 people. You need directions. You're in an airport. Yep, you might ask them. If you're on the streets of Wichita, are you going to ask them for directions? Probably not, because they're transient. They just came in for a minute. They don't know where they are. They're on the streets of anywhere. Chances are, they've only been there as long as the shuttle took them from the airport to the hotel. In fact, it was funny. I was talking to some flight attendants the other day, and the woman said to me, the only thing I know is it's 20 minutes from the Harrisburg airport to the Crowne Plaza, and I sleep the whole way. Yeah, that's what I figured. They don't know where they're going. You want directions? You gonna ask this guy? I wish I had a picture of the real guy. But years ago, when I went up to that town I told you I lived in called Clearfield, Pennsylvania, I went to go to a friend's wedding, and they gave me directions, and I had them all written out. Hey, millennials, there was no GPS back then. Yeah, it was written instructions. And I left for the wedding, and I'm driving down Route 157 in Pennsylvania towards the town of Ramey, and I look at the next direction, and it says, turn right where the old barn used to be. I'm a city boy. My brain exploded. I kept driving, thinking that maybe I'll just have this moment where I know where the old barn used to be. I stopped somebody like that, and I said, excuse me, I think I went too far. Can you tell me where the old barn used to be? And he said, just go back up the road a mile or two to where the old oak tree was. See, communication skills are important. I was an hour late for the wedding. I was actually so stressed, I stopped at a bar. I wanted to toast the bride and groom because I knew at that moment they were getting married and I was lost. So I just sat down, had a beer, and said, yay. You want directions? We're going to ask this guy, right? Yeah, because we know. We know what message people send by what they do and how they look. But we also don't want to prejudge people. We don't want to prejudge people because it turns out this guy's pretty smart. Yeah, who'd have thunk, huh? You know? Now, I will say there's moments where you do prejudge, and I'll give it to you, because the last thing I want to do is I don't want to talk to this man. Okay? I mean, I don't even know if I could sit and have a cigar with him. But we can prejudge someone that looks like that. I'm okay with that. I mean, one less piercing, I'd be fine with him. I think it's the one that put it over the edge. But when we talk to people and we deal with people, what do we want? We want to be understood. And you know what the sad part is? I put this picture up because we understand animals better than we understand people. I go to friends' houses and they'll look at me and say, my dog wants to go out. Your dog didn't move. He rolled his head towards the door. Yeah, I rolled my head towards the kitchen. Did you get food? We pay attention to people, but we don't. People need to be understood. People need to be understood. Stop trying to get them to understand you. If you understand people, they will understand you. What message are we sending to people? What message are they sending to us? And how do we understand them? Several years ago, and here I am, a litigator, a guy that fought for a living. That's what I did, fought. And someone said to me, you need to chill. You need to mellow out. I think you should go for mediation training. I ended up for 2 days in a room where I had to meditate and do yoga. No, I did not get up off the floor by myself. That was weird stuff, man. But here's what happened. I ended up in a mediation. And I ended up, young girl, divorced with a child, and an old man. When they walked into the room, I was supposed to settle a neighborhood dispute. They had a shared driveway, and they hated each other. Man, I actually thought that mediation was going to go bad, because I went in there and the first thing they did was start screaming at each other. She started yelling at him, telling him he's a racist. He started telling her she had no respect for her elders. And the two of them went at it. And I'm sitting there going, I'm supposed to be facilitating dialogue between these two people. And I just listened. And all of a sudden, the girl said, I've hated you ever since my mom died. And I interrupted and said, excuse me, I'm sorry, what about your mom dying made you hate him? And the old man turned and looked at her and said, I didn't know your mom died. And she looked at him and said, yes, it was the day of the party when you first yelled at me for my friends parking in the driveway. And he said, you never told me your mom died. 30 minutes of screaming at each other. And they just started crying. They hugged. I I got up slowly and walked out of the room and said, my work here is done. It was just a matter of listening, allowing them to talk so they could hear each other, coming to an understanding because they heard what the other one had to say. A friend of mine years ago said to me, Joe, what is the opposite of talking? Let me ask people, what is the opposite of talking? Yeah, I love when people say listening. Yep, listening, that's what everybody says. It's not. Listening uses your ears. It's a completely different function. The opposite of talking is being quiet, waiting to speak. Waiting to speak. That's what we do. When I have a conversation with you, you're looking at me and you're waiting to say something. Or I'm waiting to say something. We're waiting to speak. We're worried about what we're going to say. It's all in our head. Stop doing that. Just listen. Remember that every time someone is speaking, tell yourself, the opposite of talking is listening. I don't want to wait to speak. Look at people and determine, how do you communicate? How do you speak so that people understand you? Tone, emphasis of your voice, using a pause, clarity of how you speak, the words you choose, volume creates emphasis and melody. If I just stood up here and talked monotone, how many of you'd be asleep right now? Your body and posture. You know, I learned body from my grandmother, my great-grandmother actually. My great-grandmother taught me body language. And the reason she taught me body language is my great-grandmother, Nani, she could speak English, but she didn't want to. I'm in the kitchen one day, and all of a sudden I look at her, and she's sitting in a chair, and she's screaming in Italian, which I didn't understand at the time. And all she did was scream in Italian, and she kept going. And she's talking Italian. And I'm listening to her, and I'm thinking, and all of a sudden I looked at her and said, Nani, is my brother choking? Yeah! I come running in, he was choking. My little baby brother was choking. And I looked at her and said, couldn't you have told me in English? No. Well, I realized that day if I didn't learn body language, my brother was going to die, and then my next brother was going to die. So I learned to read body language from Nani. But that's an old Italian thing, by the way. If you ever want to shut up an Italian, handcuff him. Yeah. You want me to stop talking, just handcuff me. I'm done, man. That's it. Never happening again. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to blow through some stuff here because I'm going to tell you it's the stupidest stuff I've ever talked about. And I do this on purpose and I move fast. Body language. People talk about body language. I got to tell you, and I have arguments with my friends all the time. The rules of body language, they're hogwash. It's stupid. I hate it. You know why I hate it? Because when you're thinking about rules, you don't pay attention. Like one of the rules of body language says, leaning on the podium is bad. Makes you look casual. But let me tell you a secret. Leaning on the podium is good if you want to lean on the podium. What kind of rule is that? We look at people. You know, somebody, you look at somebody. Yeah, I can tell you the rules are folded arms means he's a little standoffish. Hands on the hips means he's got a power issue. Open arms and wide and relaxed is comfortable. Open arms make people feel welcome. People playing with their fingernails means they're nervous. People with their hands on their chin are listening. Do you need me to tell you these rules? No. Because if you're paying attention to people, you know. And they say hands on the chin is the sign of someone listening. Oh, I got to tell you, not always true. Sometimes it's somebody panicking. Sometimes it's somebody all confused. Sometimes it's somebody that knows they're being beat up hard. And when Larry King's after you, you panic. And you can see the panic in the face. You don't need to know body language to know that. Stressed out over a decision. You see this if you pay attention to people you know. How many times do we sit and watch somebody in a meeting that sits like this and does this little thing? That means I'm a powerful person. And we know, we feel uncomfortable. Feel it in your bones. Scratching your head. You know, I tell people I can go through these rules. I can do a whole course on it. But if you just watch people, you will know. Because if you watch people, you will feel it. So don't worry about those rules. Just communicate and talk to people. So that's why I argue with body language experts. I just want to make people communicators. I want you to look at somebody and ask yourself, what are they thinking? How do they feel? You know, take a moment, and if everybody would turn to the person next to them, find somebody next to you. Actually, before we do that, would you come up on stage for a moment? I want to try something. Come on up here. Hi, I'm Joe. Lorena? Good. Lorena, would you do me to take that hand and bring it up this way and turn it like that, and there, press it against my fingers. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to stare right, actually start staring right there. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to think of any one of your fingers. 1, 2, 3. Begin thinking of a finger. Ooh, you're tough. I first got this one, then I got that one. You changed your mind, didn't you? You did, thank you. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Everybody, grab the hand of the person next to you for a moment. Grab the hand. Now, look at each other and say, I'm going to send, I'm going to receive. Decide who the sender is. Once you know who the sender is, the receiver, just concentrate on the hands. The sender, focus on the back of the hands. On the count of 3, the sender, stare at the back of the hand. On the count of 3, the sender, focus on one finger. 1, 2, 3, now. Focus on one finger. Receiver, just concentrate and see what you feel. See what you get. And if you get it, please raise your hand and let me know you got something. And we got people over here doing a double header. You got it? We got it back there. We got it here. We got them over here. We got it here. Great. Now, those that didn't get anything, awesome. We got a lot of people that got it. Now, let me say this. You guys got it? All right. You guys got it. How long have you been married? 35 years. To each other? Okay, good. Just checking. Because here's what happens. The more we know somebody, the more sensitive we are. I've trained myself so I know how to focus and pay attention. And that is the coolest thing, because here's the thing. Think about something for a moment. Try this afterwards this afternoon. But let's wrap up and keep moving, because here's the thing. If your fingers, if her hand and my hand touched, and I felt that little bit of movement, imagine what happens when you meet people and you haven't had your first cup of coffee. Imagine what your face looks like and your body changes because of what happens next. We all know body language instinctively. No! That's how you can tell when your dog is involved in a sex scandal. We all know that look. No, wait a minute. We do. We know that look. You see it all the time. Watch people write their stories. When you look at people, get to know who they are and write their stories. We all knew that little mischievous look out of the corner of her eye. This next one is one of my favorites. Ian McClellan. Look at that photo. You see the fear. You see a little bit of panic. A little bit of emotional choke up. He was being interviewed on national television on BBC. And he wasn't concerned that he was outed, but he was concerned that his boyfriend was outed and didn't know how he was going to explain it. So the face involves panic. Then you see faces that show you total happiness, total joy. Yeah, it looks a lot like me. That's my youngest. That was the day she found out I got her a car. Yep. Okay? That's happy. And my favorite picture? Wow. What do you see? You see me? You see a little tinge of sad? You see a broken half smile? Really not sure how to read that, do you? Kind of like scary, isn't it? Yeah, sad, confused. Yeah, some of us know that feeling. First time I saw my daughter in her wedding dress. Right before I walked her down the aisle. I still cry like a baby when I see that picture. But we know the face, we know it. And again, you don't prejudge people. You don't prejudge people. You got to take them, look at them, study them for who they are. Some people are much more intelligent than you might give them credit for when you walk up to them. Some people are different. Random advice. This is important. Yeah, don't argue with a lawyer. It's like wrestling with a pig in the mud. Sooner or later, you're going to know they love it. You know, pay attention to people. Watch them. See who they are and see what their moods are, what their reactions are. These are emotions: angry, excited, happy, love, and tired. Now, they're good emotions. They're fun emotions. Would you mind joining me on stage? Come on up. I have here those emotions. Okay? They're angry. We're going to turn it upside down. Tired. Love. I don't know what that is on the back. We got to get rid of that. Happy and excited. Let's get rid of this because I don't want them all blank on the back. Good. Now I want you to stand over at the table if you would. And what I'd like you to do is mix those up so you don't know which one's which. And I'll look away because I don't want to know which one's which. Now, I'm going to ask cameraman, is it possible that we can switch over to her for a moment? Because I want everyone to watch her face. All right? That's right. No, you're the star right now. So if we can get her face up, good. I want you to take, when I turn around, I want you to place your hand on one, and you'll pick it up and read it. But I don't want anyone else to see it except you. Okay? And I don't want you to do anything. Just read what it said. Okay, do it now. Okay, put it back down. Okay? Now, I want you to think about what you read, the word that you read. Okay? Think about a time recently where you felt that because something happened. And think about how it made you feel. Okay? And just stare into space and think about that. Yeah, see? Of those words, can we guess which one she looked at? Happy. We're right, correct?
Yes.
See? See how good you are? Mix them up again. Mix them up, or just pick a different one. They're all mixed up. Pick a different one, put your hand on it. Okay, read it. Put it back down. Good. Now think about a time that you felt that. Think about something that happened. Ooh. I'm tossing up between angry and tired.
Yep.
I think it's angry. Yeah. Oh, tired. Tired. Okay. But you see how people react to emotions. Thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. Let's go. Right. Oh, this is an important one. Okay? Yeah, this is a special rule. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. No, this is called the Miley Cyrus rule. You know, when I learned to deal with people, one of the main things I learned was I had represented a lot of criminals. I met a lot of people in prisons. And one of the things I found out was that I had to figure out what role I was going to have. Because being the lawyer wasn't always the answer. Sometimes I had to be their friend. Sometimes I had to be a counselor. Sometimes I had to be a teacher. When you deal with people in the public, you have to do the same thing. You have to decide what your role is. What hat are you wearing? So when you sit down with a prospect, ask yourself, am I their path to the future? Am I their guide? Am I their advisor? Am I their teacher? Look at that person and decide what they need in their life at that moment. And if you become that person and you set those rules, you win. Because whoever sets the rules controls the conversation. Create the role. And above all, one of the important things I share with people is be humble. Be humble. This old man back in 1990s came up to me at the Hotel Hershey. But he said, somebody said that you live local. And I said, yes. And he began to tell me about Horatio Alger and how great Horatio Alger books were for inspiration and motivation. And he begins to tell me I got to take him to a bookstore to find old Horatio Alger books. I'm looking at this old man going, my wife and I have plans. I don't know who you are and why you're talking to me. But he kept going. And he kept talking to me. And all of a sudden I looked at him and I said, wow, I want to drive you to a bookstore all of a sudden. Because he was the most humble, cutest little man I ever met in my life. I called my wife and said, we're going to take this old man to a bookstore. And then all of a sudden I hung up the phone. He looked at me and said, oh, I didn't introduce you to my wife. This is my wife, Jeanette Cathy. And I went, oh my God, you're true at Cathy. Found her at Chick-fil-A. You should have started with that. I ended up spending 5 hours with him driving around to old bookstores with that cute little couple, and it was the most motivating thing, and a funny story came out of it was, if he had just said to me, hi, I'm true at Cathy, found her at Chick-fil-A, I would have driven him off the end of the earth if that's what he asked for. But no, he never told me who he was. He just told me how important what he was going to do could affect my life. And he did it in such a humble way. It was magnificent. You know, I wrote the book Getting to Us, and I know it went Book of the Month, so I appreciate all of your support on that. And if you haven't gotten it, I do have it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And I've already mentioned don't be a hamster. And I want to say, keep your eyes out, because my other book, What's Your Freaking Point, is not here today. That's the rewrite of the book that I did for the industry. By the way, my time is up, but nobody invites me back, so I'm going to go over a couple minutes, all right? Yeah, I want to get it all in, because I'm only going to go over a couple minutes. But What's Your Freaking Point's the rewrite of the book I wrote for the entertainment industry. And it is written now, how to maximize the impact of every word you speak. And I have a bird whispered in my ear the other day. I think you're all going to be seeing that coming up in the fall, so hang tight for that. Both of the books I have here today, by the way, I'm a bad salesman, they're $10 a piece. And let me tell you that my other thing I want to mention, because I do this for the kids. No, not strip. The Overweight Chippendale Review, you don't want that. But I want to let you know, and I have to do this because it is for the children. This is my rock hamster shirt. Okay, and let me just tell you, the Mindshark.com is not a sales pitch at all, because you're going to understand why. Mindshark.com, You go to the shop, all these shirts that have all the different hamsters on them, 100% of every penny that comes in from these shirts goes to a child abuse resource center. This year it's the Cricket Center in Worcester County, Maryland. So thank you. Yeah, you can rock a good shirt and know you did something good. But all the money goes to that, so I like to say that because it is for the kids. In the meantime, as you go out in the world, what I tell people, I said yesterday, fake it till you make it, be careful, you gotta work hard, okay? As you work, remember, you are going somewhere. Don't let them see under the surface and see your fear. Let them see where you're going. When you overcome a fear, when you communicate better and realize that people are going to make you happy, when you start to experience these little victories, give yourself a gold star. And then, if you're like me and you're over 300 pounds, buy yourself an ice cream cone. Do something for you to celebrate your victories every time you achieve one. Go out, kick butt. Tonight, no message. My show's just pure fun. So this is my last chance to say to you that by speaking to you, by being here and sharing with you, I'm invested in your success, so please don't let me down. Kick butt, take no prisoners, and rock the world, and leave here today fired up and happy. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.